What's going on? It's your boy Don from the Petrol List, and I'm here to tell you, ignore the spin. Don't believe the hype even. And not everything that glitters is a good Formula One article. It is the Formula One off-season, aka, as I like to call it, the Formula One silly season. I think a lot more people call it that than I do. But it's silly because, during the season there are so many people who are steeped in the Formula One races and all the information that's coming out, and the news entities are just churning out info. But you get to about, late January, early February, and all the hype from the end of the season has died out. The actual season is a little bit too far into the future for us to get any information, and you're stuck. You're just like, searching the headlines for anything, and that is when stuff like this comes out. And this is the reason why I'm going to be actually defending Martin Brundle today. And I don't really defend Martin Brundle that much, but he did an interview with the Formula One whatever division of Sky Sports, and he said something to the effect of Lewis Hamilton will have 2 to 3 races to prove himself over at Ferrari. And, this was, tweeted out. It's not necessarily the full thing of what the article said, but it was tweeted out. People were reacting, Martin Brundle's a fool. And, Martin Brundle says that Hamilton has 2 or 3 races, and, who the heck is Martin Brundle to say that? Well, I actually agree with Martin Brundle. If Ferrari has a race-winning car, a driver's championship-winning car, and 2 incredibly fast drivers, then yeah, they're going to want to not pull a McLaren, and they're going to want to pick who their lead driver is really quickly, so they can concentrate all the points on that person. So in terms of Lewis Hamilton having 2 to 3 races to prove that he's quicker than Charles Leclerc in race pace, yeah, I believe that, because I don't think Ferrari's here to just kind of hum and haw, how's it go, about the championship. I think they really want to get out of a slump. Now, I said in the previous video, do they want to get out of that slump with Lewis Hamilton? I do think so, but Kader, he is going to have to prove himself. Now, that is a little bit of context about what I think, but let's talk about what Martin Brundle actually said. So I got this out of planetf1.com. I'm not doing a whole lot of, fancy overlays and stuff during this video. It's going to be a lot of me talking, because I did a lot of editing on the car show video. You do need to check that out. I think it's pretty epic. I saw some really, really cool cars. Anyway, Martin Brundle was asked if Hamilton needs to start quickly at Ferrari, and Brundle told Sky Sports News he's got to do that. He's got to use his experience. And he said, there are no excuses at this level for anybody, even the rookies, but you might give the rookies half a season to get their act together maximum. They will expect somebody like Lewis to have aced the people around him and the car within 2 or 3 races, to be honest. Never underestimate Lewis Hamilton. Now, that was kind of his full regard in the article. And you can see that, he was asked a very specific question. He manned up and he, gave his answer. He didn't pull his punches. And he said, yeah, someone like Lewis Hamilton, they're going to expect him to get up to speed really quickly. And he does need to do that. But the backdrop of that conversation is what he said about the rookies as well. He said, yeah, the rookies, anybody in that situation. And then a really key active ingredient is that he said, never underestimate Lewis Hamilton. So he said, yeah, is it going to be tough? Yeah, of course. It would be weird. You would think that Formula One was scripted if it wasn't going to be tough. And it makes, Lewis Hamilton's, race wins, if he gets any next year, it makes it all the sweeter, because we all know that he did have to work hard and it wasn't scripted. So let's see. Brundle believes Hamilton has already demonstrated to Ferrari that he is worth every penny, even though the first race of Formula One 2025 is still more than a month away, describing the move as, and this is what Brundle said, the gift that will keep giving. And asked if Hamilton is worth the money, Brundle added, unquestionably ready. Now think back to, the hype that you may or may not have heard when they said Brundle said that Hamilton has 2 or 3 races to get ready. And then contrast that with all of the context that you just heard. And that is why it's important to not believe the hype and to ignore the spin. Have a relax. Watch one of my car show videos. Watch one of my car article videos while we're waiting for more information to come in, accurate information to come in for Formula One, because you need a break. And because of that, you need to watch one of my car shows. And you need to like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff so you can see my friendly face every every Monday at the least. Now, the other thing, and sorry, this is going to be a lot about Lewis Hamilton right now, because right now I think he's kind of the biggest news. He's got one of the biggest transitions. Yeah, we've got a lot of rookies, but we don't have anything from the rookies to compare to from before and now. So they're unknown quantities, but Lewis Hamilton we've known for a very long time, and you can't help but analyze his past success with where he's going. And if you don't know, I'm sure if you're watching this, you probably do know that Lewis Hamilton had a crash. Now, this is another thing. Even before Lewis Hamilton's crash, folks were like, Lewis Hamilton crashes during his first day of testing with new team. Well, it turns out the article was actually talking about Hamilton's crash at Mercedes back in 2012, I think it was. Was it 2012? I don't know. I am probably wrong. Don't quote me on that. Don't get mad at me. But they were quoting that. And then they even quoted, during Hamilton's testing at Ferrari, they quoted Hamilton as saying, I'm not fast anymore. Well, this is what he was saying when he was still at when he was still at Mercedes. And they kind of like juxtaposed it to make it sound like he went out, he tested Ferrari, and then he came back and said, I'm not fast anymore. That's not what happened. So don't believe that. Now let's actually go into Hamilton's testing a little bit. And I am going to rely on some of the quotes from Peter Windsor. He is a resource that I trust, especially when it comes to talking about driver performance and analyzing driving and stuff. I'm a race car driver, I'm a track day driver, and I like to think to myself that I know how to analyze races and racecraft and drivers and stuff, but my gosh, I can't hold a candle to Mr. Peter Windsor. So I'm gonna take a look at what he was saying about both the crash and the test. So let's see, 7-time world champion, and this article comes from The Judge 13 and Daily F1 News. And he says, 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton will drive for Ferrari following the footsteps of legends such as Michael Schumacher, Fernando Alonso, and Sebastian Vettel. So I'm just kind of throwing that in there for color. It is not odd for a Formula One champion to go to Ferrari. So Peter Windsor, the Brit may have suffered a crash, but Windsor remains optimistic about the overall outcome of the test. And I'm just going to read a couple of his quotes, and then I'm going to follow up with my own thoughts. Let's see. And this is not a quote, but this is just fact. The most notable incident during the test came when Hamilton crashed at high speed coming out of the final corner of this circuit to Barcelona, Catalunya. Hamilton's crash occurred in the section of the track that has been modified in recent years. Windsor explained the difficulty of the final corner. And he said, the last corner is now a fast right-hander, similar to its original layout before the chicane was temporarily added. Now, if you do any sim racing or any track day racing, when a track changes, or say they go from running counterclockwise to clockwise, things look familiar, and you kind of fall into that instinctual kind of driving, where the corners are and all that kind of stuff. They change something, you're likely to crash, especially You're driving kind of mentally in a different language, in a different car, and the track has changed. Now, the other thing is this: at this level, you have to feel comfortable pushing the car, and if you don't feel comfortable pushing the car hard enough, you're probably not going to crash. So if you're not on the edge, you're not really testing the car, are you? So I would actually be more worried if Hamilton didn't have a crash, because it would mean maybe he's being timid. Now, let me get back to Peter Windsor. Peter Windsor says that my view is that it was a very good test for Lewis. I think Lewis Hamilton fans should be very happy with the way this test went. Yes, there was a crash, but let's look at it. Let's look at the build up to that crash and the reasons for it. It had nothing to do with a problem on the track. It was purely about how good Lewis felt in the car and how comfortable he was with the team. Windsor insisted that Hamilton appears to be adapting quickly to the Ferrari environment. Again, he's got more insider information than I do. I don't know exactly how to back all that up, but if Peter Windsor is saying it, then I tend to believe it, even if I take what everybody says with a grain of salt. He feels very comfortable in the team. The 2023 Ferrari was not the best car, as we saw last season. It's the same car that Leclerc put into the wall twice in Miami. That car had a small sweet spot and was difficult to handle. But despite the challenges, Lewis felt better in this Ferrari than he has in recent years with Mercedes. So, the Mercedes car has been a tractor. And again, Lewis Hamilton is a 7.5-time world champion. And, when you level up, you're not used to driving a tractor. And what do you have to prove? Anyway, we've really beat that dead horse. Windsor goes on to say he hasn't felt this good since 2021. He needs to feel connected to the car like it's part of his DNA. That's why I think the driver in Lewis took over during the test. He is already incredibly integrated into the Ferrari setup. Hamilton pushed the car to the limit and enjoyed himself. It'll be fascinating to see how Leclerc performs alongside him, Windsor says. In terms of lap times, Hamilton was faster during the test, but that's to be expected as he did significantly more laps. Now, maybe I haven't looked hard enough, but I have not found the lap times. But the fact that, he had more practice on the track. This is a car that Charles Leclerc has driven for 7 years, or at least a team, rather, that he's been integrated in for 7 years. And he actually drove the 2023 car. He knows its handling characteristics, and he drove the 2024 car. As a matter of fact, he drove the 2022 car. So he's been alongside. He's been along for the ride in the evolution, and people have been saying, will Lewis Hamilton adapt to the Ferrari car fast enough? Well, the fact that, with a handful of laps, because I think he did up to 30 laps, his lap times were faster than Charles Leclerc. I think that bodes well for him and, bodes well for his future at Ferrari. You have to push a car. You have to try to find its limits, and I'd rather him be finding the limits, get comfortable, and have his first crash during testing than during the first race of 2025. So while you don't want to crash every weekend, you gotta feel comfortable in the car, you gotta push the limits. And I still remember hearing stories of Hamilton braking later and later, going into turns when he was a kid, crashing out simply so he could find the limit of the car. And perhaps that's what he's doing. Again, this is all speculation because it is Formula One silly season, and I'm not in the paddock. I'm in my studio. Well, hopefully that was enough information for you, because this has been a 15-minute video, and it's time for me to stop chatting and edit this thing and get it over to you. Make sure to watch the latest car show video, special super surprise with all these supercars I saw. Very cool stuff. All right, well, I have been Dalton. This has been the Petrolist, and you have been great. I will see you next Monday for more exciting Formula One news, where I talk about more than just one driver. All right, don't believe the hype. I'm out.